This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up, Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, along with fellow Manchild, Johnny Karlic. And we are back for another edition of the Rick and Johnny podcast right here on Most Valuable Podcast. This is where we go ahead and talk about everything under the two nerdy suns. Yeah, I got it. I don't want to talk over the whistles because I feel like in past episodes I've talked over.
I was kind of hoping you would because I don't want people to
whistles.
actually hear it. It's supposed to be like in the background.
Johnny's like, I'm kind of doing it while Ricky's talking, but we got a jam-packed show for you guys today. Actual double podcast day is we're going to have our Glass review coming out also, and this will not be like the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse where I said we were going to have that and then we ended up not being able to do that. This is not going to be a fake out. We will have our Glass review as well. But today, Johnny, we got a Spider-Man Far From Home trailer. We finally get to see it. We're going to break it down, tell you what we think about it. Then we're going to take a look at another new trailer we got, kind of a teaser trailer for the new Ghostbusters movie. Take a look at that. Also take a look at why Leslie Jones is kind of upset about the new Ghostbusters movie.
Goosebusters.
And then the Goosebusters. And then we are going to end things out with a little good old Game of Thrones. But before we get into everything, make sure to check out patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. That is where you guys can call in and be on the podcast. $10 tier. You can vote on some topics at the $5 tier. You get an exclusive Patreon podcast at the $1 and $2 tier. So go ahead and check that out down below because we cannot do what we do each and every week without the support of our wonderful, great, fantastic patrons. But Johnny, let's move on. Let's get started with everything.
Yeah.
As we're going to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming, and this is a trailer you and I have kind of talked about already. We got a text read through when this trailer was shown at Brazil Comic-Con. I'm just going to ask you right up front, overall thoughts of the trailer now that we actually get to see it with our own two eyes.
I'm actually very excited about a lot of this. I don't know I'm trying to think where to start.
And that's the same with me. Why I threw it to you. I was like, there's so much in here. Let's start at the very beginning. And this is kind of the question that people have had is the interesting thing about this trailer is they don't want to give up anything about Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
How much, like, the film is supposed to start moments after Avengers Endgame. Do you think there will be a time jump at all between the beginning of the movie and what we see at the beginning of the trailer where Peter's getting ready for his trip?
Days, maybe. Maybe a week or two, because like, yeah, it takes a little bit of time to plan a trip, but like maybe like shortly, it's gonna be like shortly after, because it's gonna be like the cleanup of everything. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot that's been down the drain already. Everything is like, and not that there's a ton of, like, it doesn't seem like there's gonna be a ton of time spanning between what happened in Infinity Wars and what's going to happen in Endgame and then into Spider-Man. Doesn't look like there's going to be a ton of time in between all of those.
I think that they've said like a couple months maybe at the most.
Yeah.
Between Infinity War.
And that doesn't really leave a lot of like stuff to like fall in.
Enough time for Tony Stark to be at the end of his rations, basically.
Yes. That is supposed to be, that could take like just weeks, not even months.
True. Or like
depends
a
on,
month.
It could take like a month. It could take a few weeks.
Yeah.
It could take 2 months. It depends on how many rations were there and how much oxygen it holds.
And they've only got 2 mouths to feed.
Exactly. So, and then if they thought about rationing right off the bat, then there you go. The
interesting thing to me, though, with Spider-Man Far From Home is, and I've got the trailer just on loop here. If you guys haven't seen it, what are you doing? First off, I'll put it down below in the description. But there's the part where he looks at his suit in the closet and goes, no, Europe doesn't need a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Do you think that is because, like, a lot of what I'm seeing is, oh, that's probably because of all the events that went on in Endgame
he's
and
like,
Infinity War.
Kind of in the back of his head saying,
I need a vacation.
I need a break from being Spider-Man, especially since you just got turned into dust.
You were gone and now you're back.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine what kind of toll that would take, for one. So, I mean, yeah, it's like I wouldn't blame him for like looking at the suit and just closing the closet. Even actually pauses before he closes his suitcase again, like to think again about it.
However, I did see there's a different version, I believe. There's two that are out there where like TSA agent is like checking a suitcase and he opens it and there's the Spider-Man suit just sitting there in his suit, like Aunt May basically, hey, you forgot this, and shoved it in there. And the TSA agent is just like, you can't have this. And it's basically like a bottle of water or something. And he goes, yeah, I'm sorry. Basically, it's like the Spider-Man suit is staring at you and you have no questions about it.
Probably not.
I'm just a weird cosplayer at this point.
Yeah.
And I really like Spider-Man.
I mean, you never know.
What is one thing with this that you are really excited about moving forward?
Mysterio.
That's okay. I didn't know how quickly you wanted to jump to the very end because we only get Mysterio at the end of the trailer.
I guess so. But like, it's cool. Let's jump into something else before we really hit on Mysterio. There's like two separate Spider-Man suits that we're gonna get now. One looks like his sort of average one, but it's black and red.
Yeah, at least that's what to the original, like the original suit from the comics, where it was more red and black compared to red and blue.
Well, it had to be red and black in the comics, and they used the blue for shadowing, and then it ended up being more blue than black, so that's how it switched over. But no, yeah, they got that one, and then there's the stealth suit one that looks like it's literally he's a shield agent, which is another
or a sword agent. Like there are certain
don't
people
necessarily know if we have rights to that by then.
There are certain people that are like, there's a little portion on that shoulder plate that could really fit a sword logo if they wanted to. Here's the
thing. So yeah, the movie comes out after July, right?
July 7th or 8th.
And we talked about in another podcast where we're supposed to get rights to Fox by March, sometime in March. I don't know if there's necessarily enough time to do all any retakes to put the word sword in there, where Nick Fury has probably already said shield in this movie.
He might not have said anything.
He may not have said shield at all. In that case, I don't know if they would put the logo for sword on there right away, unless they're going to actually introduce sword in the movie.
So Johnny, I almost got really scared.
Why?
Because this year, VidCon got moved.
Really?
Usually it's like the end of June, and like last year it was like, oh well, the Transformers movie came out that time.
Yeah.
So that movie got screwed. This year it's in July. And for a second, I had a panic attack of like, oh my God, is it going to be the same weekend as Spider-Man? Because obviously I will be in California. You will be back here in Chicago. Good news, Spider-Man Far From Home comes out July 5th. VidCon's the next week. Okay. So it's basically Spider-Man, VidCon. Then Ricky leaves for VidCon. But yeah, with me, the Mysterio thing was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Especially like the first time you see him and the line he delivers is like, oh my God, I'm going to like Mysterio. Also, the thing I'm going to throw out there is this is something I said and I'll probably, if I haven't already, had it pop up above Johnny of our conversation where we talked about Sword possibly being introduced. We mentioned in there about Marvel and the MCU going more cosmic.
Yeah.
And the one thing I threw out is, what if Mysterio tricks Nick Fury into thinking he's a cosmic entity or a cosmic hero, kind of like we see in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But then he has that villainous turn where it's like everything just goes to shit, and then he is battling Spider-Man at the end. Based off of what I've seen, I still believe that, because the green beams, the green everything with what's coming out of his hand, I'm like, oh my God, it looks like Doctor Strange. It looks like Mysterio saw footage of Doctor Strange during Infinity War and was like, I can do that. I can make that effect with my hands so that they think I'm using the same mystic powers as Doctor Strange.
Like he looks his powers and even like sort of the suit look like a combination of, well, maybe not the suit so much. The powers though, for sure look like a mixture of Doctor Strange and Iron Man because he's flying around.
Because he's coming out of the hands.
It's coming out of the hands, but it's also like he's flying around, and it looks like it's almost like it's being hidden. However, he's flying with the smoke around his feet and the green smoke, but then it's like coming out of his hands. It's like half laser beam, sort of like Iron Man, and half smoke. And if you look, also like there's different points where one time it's just straight out of his hands, like this pyramid out of each hand, and there's one time. It'll loop around it again for a second for me. It's like all the full like Doctor Strange circle in front of him and a big beam. So like it's interesting how it looks like a combo. Yeah. What I'm interested to see is when he gets the fishbowl.
The shield looks like the circle one.
Yeah.
So what it looks like to me, because I rewinded it, is when he shoots out the beam, they're triangles.
Yeah.
But when he's fighting, and here's another thing, is he fighting Hydro Man or is he just fighting an elemental? We'll get into that in a second. When that fist comes in, the circle is like a shield where he's using that to defend. And if you stop it at that point, we do have the fishbowl. When he flies in to...
Yeah, he does have it on.
To face Hydro Man, he's got the fishbowl on.
Yeah, I did see that now.
Which I did notice the first time, and I'm like, oh my God, I know it's small. It looks baller to see the fishbowl. Like just seeing him when he flies in on the cloud, like, I'm like, oh my God, that's what Mysterio looked like. That is the costume that I would expect for a Mysterio character.
No, Marvel did a great job on portraying Mysterio in the MCU. I love how it looks. I love the whole aspect so far. And I'm wondering if, I know you called it elemental. I wonder if it's his own, like...
Well, and that's what I wanted to get into, is because the theory is...
Yeah.
Here's the theory, is that because we see different elementals. Like, the one at the end with the water is different, because we've heard rumors that there's going to be some different villains in the movie. There's going to be, we've heard Hydro Man. I think we've heard, is it like Volcano Man or something? Basically, he's got volcanic like powers, and we see an elemental like that in here. We also see like a rock elemental. What people are kind of thinking is that these elementals are special effects by Mysterio.
Yeah.
To kind of make it seem like, I am what I really am.
I am a hero.
Yeah, basically, I can help you guys out here. The only question is, for me, I'm kind of thinking, what if it was like, okay, the first two they fight, yeah, those were Mysterio elementals. What if that water one really is Hydro Man?
True.
And Mysterio's like, oh, I can do this, and then goes, oh, no, I can't. I cannot. This is not one of mine, and that's where they basically find out, hey, you're a fraud. You've been duping us. You've been duping Spider-Man. You've really been duping Nick Fury this whole time.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say earlier was, what if those are all his, except maybe like you said, 50-50 on Hydro Man. Maybe it is his, maybe it isn't. Cause that one, it almost seems like he swoops in and saves the day.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's all effects from the trailer. So who knows?
But how he does it too is like, yeah, you got a point. How he comes in, has that superhero line, and then flies right in.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless they just cut it up that way.
They could have cut it up that way.
When he drops in,
yeah,
who knows? He might not even be fighting Hydro Man.
When he dropped in, you see all the destruction behind him. It could be when he was fighting that rock elemental or the sand or whatever.
Yes.
So that's my thought, is that those are his. Now the other thing I'm starting to think is, what if he's like, yeah, they're doing like a special effects prop thing. What if he does sort of have some of the powers that Doctor Strange has? Like, what if some of it is sort of magic, because those are pretty pretty harsh special effects to be special effects, especially out in the open. So what if they and I get Marvel's going to take liberties like that, so what if it's like not like as powerful as Doctor Strange, but he dabbled in something not knowing it's like Doctor Strange necessarily, and that's how he got his like such high acclaim in props and effects.
Go more the Iron Man route with that.
Okay.
What I think it might be is I don't think they're going to give him mystic powers or like he dabbled in these mystic powers.
Yeah.
What I think it's going to be
Just high tech.
Basically, like maybe he found some Shatari tech before everything got wiped out with Spider-Man Homecoming. And he used that within his special effects, and that's how he's able to make them like actual beams. Is like maybe like in his gloves or those vanguards that he has, van braces that he has around his arms. Maybe that has some Shatari tech in there.
Yeah, I was saying more so making those other elementals if it's not actual characters.
I mean, maybe it's for that. It's just like lighting tricks. That's what I would think of, where it's like. Not like hey, I can put my hand through it like Scooby-Doo, but I think it's like high-tech.
It could be, yeah. Very like high-tech something or another.
Because especially if that water elemental one is staged by him, of course he's going to fly in and he can have it all choreographed out. Like, yeah,
True.
Oh, it's supposed to hit me and I'm supposed to defend myself. But then I push back and it's all mapped out already.
That's true.
Down.
So yeah.
Scripted is the word I'm looking for.
So I'm intrigued to see how they're gonna play out those as if they are his own effects and how he's done them. But no, I think that would be a really cool dynamic to have him like tricking everyone, Fury and everyone else, just to see how that plays along, because that would make sense for Mysterio, and then finally flip him over to the villain side and maybe end of Act 2.
Yeah, before we go into
the final act and make Spider-Man actually have to go up against him.
And the thing I'm looking up is because Hydro Man was one of them, and like I said, I thought there was one more that people had said might be in there. Let's see. Okay, so this is from an IGN article. The Elementals and Hydro Man, origin and background. So arriving from a distant universe and establishing their own kingdom here before running afoul of a place called Egypt, the vanquished Elementals, Hydron Water, Magnum Earth, Hellfire, and Zephyr Air Wind, spent the rest of their Marvel Comics career trying to gain control of a MacGuffin called the Ruby Scarab, sometimes with the enslaved Nakantu, the living mummy, as muscle. At one point, Zephyr switched sides, and still later, Miss Marvel found herself in the middle of another attempt to wrest control of the Scarab from other hands. So that's kind of what. Let's see here. Oh, that's Sandman. Okay. Because that's them saying that some people thought that the rock elemental that we saw could be like a Sandman, and them saying, no, that's not Sandman. But what people are saying is that it could be, hey, those are elementals. Maybe it's the elementals that I just mentioned. The other one, though, could be Hydro Man. Yet again, we don't know. They could have changed it. Hey, we're going to have Hydro Man in there. Now we're not. All we know right now is it's an elemental water, basically water elemental. But everything with Mysterio, I can't wait to see more of that. And I can't wait to see Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. I want to ask you about Nick Fury.
Yeah.
And his whole involvement in this is, what do you think? Why do you think will be the reason he comes to get Spider-Man? Because he kind of surprises him, and he goes, I finally get to meet the famous Spider-Man, as he's just sitting in his hotel waiting for him and has just knocked out Ned.
No, I'm trying to think how he's going to play into it, aside from maybe trying to do the same thing he does with everyone, sort of pep talking him. Like, maybe he noticed that there's Spider-Man's disappeared for like such and such, like maybe it's been like a few days already. It's like, hey, Spider-Man's not showing up anywhere.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, I gotta track him down and see what the hell's going on, and tracks him down, and finally he's like, okay, I finally get to meet you. And then
And then they just kind of, oh, we've got problems here. And
Like,
they
hey,
just kind
I
of
also
team up.
I sort of have a mission for you anyways. I need you. Like, that's typical of Nick Fury. Like, Spider-Man disappears for a few days. It's like, okay, well, I got a mission for this. Or he's not, you know what? He could be keeping tabs on him anyways. So it's not like
Nick Fury's keeping tabs on everyone, John.
Exactly.
Here's the thing I don't understand with that.
So I shouldn't even say that. It's just he has a mission that Spider-Man needs to, that he needs Spider-Man for.
When it comes to the suits,
Yes.
my thought process is, let's say Aunt May does put it in the suitcase, so he does have his suit.
Yeah.
Is the black suit going to be basically Spider-Man's like, well, I can't use my suit because there's not there's too many clues that would point to who Spider-Man may be.
Yeah.
So is that where Nick Fury is going to be like, oh, I have a suit? The black suit will be the first suit he uses, and then Act 3 he gets the
Red
suit
and
that we
black.
see with the red and black, the web wings that pop out.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe
When they're closer in London, because it looks like they're in Italy for a little bit. There's going to
It's
be
a
in
European
London.
trip, yeah.
They're going to be all over Europe.
Yeah, you know what? I think that would be the case because obviously it would point to like, hey, one of these kids is Spider-Man. So
Spider-Man, bring me Spider-Man.
Want more pictures of Spider-Man? Yeah,
You gotta throw a JJJ reference in there when
of course,
you can.
talking about Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Yeah, that would make sense for the change in suit because then it's like, okay, well, it's like I can't be Spider-Man here anyways. It would point out that hey, he's over this group of kids is over here. Spider-Man's here. Add it all together, and then one of these kids is Spider-Man. Blah 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 blah. But then Nick Fury can like, okay, I got a suit for you, so you don't. Or he's just like, he actually maybe that was like a teaser, and he's like, I didn't bring my suit. Oh, I got a suit for you.
And that's where,
because Marvel is all about duping us and throwing things in there that don't actually happen. Like,
well, talking about duping us. Go ahead and finish what you were gonna say.
I was actually gonna say, like, for example, there's a theory out there that kind of ruins Endgame, stating that, oh, Tony Stark dies because one of the clues is Pepper Potts' name is on the check for the thing. It's like, yeah, but one thing you and I talked about before,
you told
she
me
runs the
this on-
foundation.
Yeah,
she runs all that stuff.
You told me that on Friday, and that was my first thought. Is like, but if she's running the foundation and
She's
everything,
gonna sign the check.
She's gonna sign the check, not Tony.
You
And-
would think that maybe Tony might sign it just for like publicity shit,
I
though.
mean,
But
maybe, but like you saw, like that's not a big enough reason for me
but
to
the
think
other one,
he's dead.
and the other one was that Happy says, "You're alone now, kid."
Yeah, I mean, but that's another one where it's like
Again, and I'm just saying, Marvel's all about like
duping us, and
duping
kind
us,
of
and
pulling the wool
like,
over our eyes.
Big example, they threw Hulk.
We've been hoodwinked too many times, Johnny.
They threw Hulk into the Infinity Wars trailers to trick us,
Knowing he wouldn't be there.
knowing he wouldn't be there. They didn't have Hulk in there, but they threw him into the trailer, so we didn't know that Banner was going to have a problem turning into Hulk.
He's gonna have some ED issues with Hulk, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
But two last things I kind of want to hit on, for sure. I don't know if there's anything else that you think that we haven't hit. The first one's to me, the minor one where I don't think it's going to be as long as of a conversation. The MJ conversation.
Yes.
Getting this. I absolutely love how they are now leaning into the romance, it seems like.
No,
Where
it's nice.
It looks like he is going to be with MJ, because I will be completely honest. The thing I hated about the Amazing Spider-Man, the Andrew Garfield one, was I get they went with Gwen Stacy, and they probably did that to be different than the Sam Raimi who went with MJ. I'm sorry, I don't need to see Spider-Man with Gwen Stacy. I want to see him with MJ, and if there's a third wheel into the situation, Johnny, you know who I want that third wheel to be? Black Cat. That's who I want it to be. I want it to be Felicia Hardy, and that is who I want to be that third wheel.
See,
if you're going to throw one into there.
Wasn't opposed to the Gwen Stacy thing because that's actually in the comics as well.
I get it. And the next snap was comic.
And then I think it's MJ comes along after that.
But we never got there.
Yeah, we didn't.
They
Me too on this
basically
one,
were
luckily.
like, "Oh, Marvel takes over. Hey, Andrew, put
Yeah, that's why. So I
we
mean,
like this kid."
maybe in the next one they were gonna go with an MJ. Who knows? It's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
But no, we're getting. I like especially like in the I'm gonna say it's the opera or whatever they're gonna see.
I love her attitude.
I like how the dynamic of like he's stumbling over his words because he has a crush on her now is going. I think that's hilarious and typical of someone his age.
Because the thing I always liked about the dynamic between MJ and Peter is that, and we were kind of talking about this about one of our friends, is, so just to give it a real world example, is one of our friends went on a date with a girl, and you had told me he didn't pursue anything because it's kind of like he didn't feel intelligently challenged, or in some cases didn't feel like there would be pushback where, like for me,
enough that you would want.
Yeah, we're like, I'll be honest, one of my ex-girlfriends, I say this not as like a demeaning joke, but of what it was, where it felt like I was dating a puppy dog, or it was like, well, what do you want to do? Well, anything you want to do. And it was like, all right, I've got this person that just follows me with whatever I do. There's no pushback.
Yeah.
Everything I say is okay. And that's what I've always loved about the MJ Peter Parker relationship is MJ is going to challenge him. MJ is not afraid to speak her mind. And what they're doing in that opera scene already is adapting and showing us the new age MJ to the new age Spider-Man. Where our 90s Spider-Man and MJ, totally different chemistry between them. I know it's a cartoon instead of live action, but a totally different chemistry between them because the Peter Parker, yes, he was older, but how Tom Holland's Spider-Man is, how he's kind of, I'm going to say a little awkward, and he's a little bit of like, just in general, like not sure about things. He kind of feels like an actual kid at times, having that person, that sarcastic asshole, not even an asshole, just that sarcastic character of like, he says something and MJ goes, oh, because that's supposed to validate me as a person. And he goes, oh, no, it's okay. Peter, I'm just fucking with you. Like, basically, like, and I like how it's that compared to what we've seen between a Spider-Man and an MJ in Sam Raimi animated series, anything that we've watched in the past.
It's still sort of the same dynamic to a sense. He's in the way that you said, he's challenging her in a certain way, or vice versa. She's challenging him, and not in like a bad challenging way. It's like trying to keep him on his toes, make it like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's sort of a keep you on your toes. But it's lighthearted and it's fun way of challenging you.
Basically,
not a
how I
butting
see it
heads
is
constantly.
When you're stressed and that person makes a joke, that's what she's trying to relax him in a way. Like, hey, Pete, calm down. Like, you don't have to.
It's
this
flirting.
Is not a stressing thing. Yeah, kind of. It's flirting, and like. That's the whole thing I like with it. The last thing I wanted to ask you about, and this probably will be a longer conversation than that. So there's a theory going around.
Okay.
That the trailer has shown us, and I believe the spot that people are talking about is when we see Nick Fury in a building looking out. Some people say, oh, he's in Europe. Some people say, no, he's not. I want to ask you this. Two-part question. Number one, do you think in Spider-Man Far From Home we are going to see the new tenants of Avengers Tower? And if yes, who are those new tenants going to be?
Seeing as we're in Far From Home, I feel like we're not. Just because, I mean, we're not in New York. That's where our Avengers Tower is. I mean, it would be interesting if we ended up there and, like, saw that then. But I maybe in like an after credit scene or something else, but I don't think we're going to necessarily see that unless it's like, because it doesn't. We're not in New York. We're in Italy. We're in London. We're in France. Maybe even.
We're only in New York in the beginning.
Exactly.
And I don't know
And I
how
don't
brief
think-
that's going to
And
be.
they're like Marvel's not one to just kind of throw it in there like, hey, it's in the background. Here you go.
Well,
I mean,
and that's the thing.
Not
I found it
out
exactly
of nowhere.
when it's the part of the trailer when right after he's gone to the convenience store.
Yeah.
And he's swinging through. In the background,
Okay.
the building that looks like it's under construction, that's Avengers Tower.
Okay. I'm waiting to get through it and see.
That is why people are like, ooh, could we see in that scene, could we see maybe who the new tenants are? Here's what I'm thinking, and this is me. My theory hat is now on.
I would say real quick, maybe hints of it, but we're not gonna, I don't think we're actually going to see
I like your post-credit thing, and I'm going to roll with that.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to actually necessarily see the tenants. We're going to maybe see a hint towards something. Like Marvel, they'll put shit in the background.
This is what I want. Ready?
They'll Easter egg shit, but
full reveal in the post-credit scene.
That I'd be fine with.
And everybody is saying, Fantastic Four. I get it. The Marvel Fox deal or the Disney Fox deal is exciting.
It is.
But to me, there is a different tenant that I want to take over that building more so than the Fantastic Four.
And who's that?
Oscorp. Give me Norman Osborn.
That would
in
be
a
cool. That one I would definitely agree with.
Think about this. He's in Europe, right? He is disconnected from New York for a summer. A couple months is a long time.
It is
to be away from somewhere. During that time, Norman finalizing the move into Avengers Tower to where Pete comes home. It could be even at the end where Pete comes home and goes, what's Oscorp? And maybe Aunt May then explains it to him. Like, oh yeah, they're done. Not excitingly, but not negatively, because it's just a brand new company moving in, trying to change the world with their blah 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 blah.
Harry and Harry and Peter were supposed to be friends as kids. They could have been like Osborn.
True.
And then goes to Aunt May. Oscorp, is that Harry's dad's? Bob, and
Kind of like that.
Introduce,
because that's an interesting plot
it's
to this. They haven't explained
it could have been
the origin.
it could have been when they were 5. They were from 5 to 7 they were friends, and then Harry was sent to military or boarding school, especially since he's a rich kid. And that introduces.
So post credits at the end.
Yeah.
When Peter comes back, I like that idea. Let's roll with that. After the credits, day 1 of the next school year, because the next school year is going to be pretty damn close by the time they get back, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it should be close.
Who walks in?
Harry.
Now, they would have to have someone casted for Harry, which I don't think that would be plausible, but that is who I want to take over the Avengers Tower, because yes, the Fantastic Four is great. Yes, we want them eventually in the universe. But how does that help Spider-Man?
Exactly.
It doesn't. Unless you're going to play into he's joining the Fantastic Four now that the Avengers are broken up after Endgame. Unless you're going to do that. I don't see that, though.
No.
I see Spider-Man kind of being on his own as we're getting in this. Nick Fury coming to him, which also the whole Nick Fury, Tom Holland thing. The thing that I'm wondering is if we're going to get shades of Ultimate Spider-Man. The Drake from Drake and Josh, when he was Spider-Man in that cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was him and Nick Fury. I mean, of course, Nova, White Tiger, Luke Cage. No, Iron Fist.
Iron Fist and Luke Cage, technically.
Were they?
Power Man is what they called them, but yeah.
Yeah, true. They were both in there. Are we going to get a kind of developed relationship closer to what they had? Are we going to get that humor towards the end where as they get to know each other, Tom Holland is going to use his humor to kind of play back to a relationship we might have seen in Ultimate Spider-Man? That just popped into my head right now as I saw Nick Fury, because Spider-Man's going to be on his own, what better way to say, hey, we are bringing in this rogues gallery than saying, here is your Joker. Your Joker is coming to the party. However, is Marvel going to do that, or are they going to say, no, they've done the Green Goblin before, we're going to leave the Green Goblin alone?
I mean, they can do the Hobgoblin.
Just because you bring Norman into it doesn't mean you have to do the Green Goblin.
That's true, but it just
you can just have Harry and Norman there.
What you can do is just have Norman, the one that brings the group together. Is like, hey, I want Spider-Man. I want to use him like they always wanted to. They wanted his blood. They wanted to test him so they can do their whatever tests they needed to do on Spider-Man. Here's
my last question. This goes off of the theory, theorizing that we just
to finish.
Had. Yeah,
they don't need like. It doesn't need to be Norman becomes the Green Goblin to do this or whatever. It could be just, hey, I want Spider-Man so I can test and make more Spider-Man.
Do you think we'll never get the Green Goblin with Tom Holland?
I'd say
only because we didn't get an origin story, meaning because then there's a plot hole of like it all depends on how they write it. Because to me, Peter has to know about Oscorp because that's where the spider bites him.
True. That would have to be. It would have to somehow be explained of like Oscorp being rebuilt or something, or why it was never mentioned before. Because we didn't get the stereotypical, hey, spider came down, bit me, blah blah blah. We would have to have some sort of explanation of all that with Oscorp being there. Why? So Oscorp wouldn't be a mystery to him, but it would be like
a distant memory of maybe he was a younger child.
Yeah.
When he remembered, to where it's like my memory is kind of hazy with this to where I don't really remember it. That kind of a thing.
It'll not even just that. It would have to be like he would have to bring up like, hey, Oscorp relocated? And not a necessarily what's Oscorp? You'd be, did Oscorp relocate? Like this big tower, like rebuild Avengers Tower is now Oscorp.
I mean, to me, that's the only thing I wonder is how, if they're going to do a Norman Osborn, how do they introduce him? And also the thing that I kind of think is going to be unique to see is Sony, a part of this deal, going to suggest villains that are different than the video game? Because in the thing about the video game we got for Spider-Man, Negative Man, Kingpin, Black Cat was in it. I'm trying to think of other villains off my head, but basically villains that we've seen. You know what? That's kind of a lie because Vulture was in it. And Vulture was in the movie.
Was the Scorpion in it too?
Scrap that idea. Yeah, Scorpion was too.
I mean, we got a hint at Scorpion, but we didn't actually get Scorpion.
Yeah, and I mean, we know the next game is going to be, spoiler alert, Venom and Green Goblin because of the post-credit scene in that. But for me, I wonder if they're going to do a Norman Osborn, how would they introduce him? But that's who I want Avengers Tower to become, is Oscorp, not the Fantastic Four, because I think an Oscorp Tower moves the story of Spider-Man along, but it might kill a Fantastic Four kind of conjoined universe. So I can see why there's both sides. Last thing I want to throw up about this, and I know I've said last time for about the 3 times, I feel like I'm Dutch from Red Dead Redemption. One more score, Johnny. But the last thing I got to throw in, because I've got to do it, how hard, all of you, did you cry when close the suitcase and you see BFP?
I honestly didn't notice it until you pointed it out to me.
Franklin Parker, I was like, holy crap, that's our... Because to me, I was like, holy crap, that's our first reference. First true reference.
To Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben. The first one that solidifies him in the universe. However, I am upset that on the passport for Peter, they don't have his middle name there.
Benjamin.
Yeah, they don't have Ben there. Why not have Benjamin there? Go full into the Uncle Ben-ness. Go full into it.
Semantics.
I also saw one comment that was funny, and you might not get this because you're not a sports guy, Johnny. But in the background, the little pennant that's on the wall says Piazza, he was a famous player for the Mets. Someone commented and was like, yeah, I think that this Peter Parker is way too young to have remembered Mike Piazza because he was a baseball player like when we were kids in the 90s, 2000s. He goes, it should be David Wright unless it's a present from Uncle Ben. I'm like, really? We're going to play that much semantics when it comes to this? Like, we're going to dip in that hard? Just let it be a Mets thing on the wall because it's New York.
Yeah.
And he's a kid from Queens. Just let it be. Any final thoughts before we move on into some Ghostbusters?
To add to that, yeah, it probably was a gift from Uncle Ben then.
Probably. That's why he would hang it up still.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't matter. It's a Mets thing.
Yeah, it doesn't
Someone
matter.
actually looking into it, whatever.
To me, it does not matter whatsoever. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section. What did you think about the trailer? What did you think about anything that we talked about in this one? Because Johnny, we probably went a good almost 40 minutes talking about some Spider-Man Far From Home. We cannot wait for it. Cannot wait to see more of it and talk about it because we love to do so. And Johnny, let's move on into our next topic, taking a look at a little bit of Ghostbusters. And before we get into it, because I'm going to mention this website during this segment, go check out our Twitters. You're at War Machine 9085. I'm at Ricky Widmer, also Most Valuable Podcasts at Most Valuable Pod. You can go ahead, hit us up, tweet us about anything that we talked about today. And if you need to contact us, you can always contact Most Valuable Pod through the DMs and slide on in. But Johnny, what we are going to be looking at is there's going to be a new Ghostbusters movie. Got a trailer for it that's going to be down below in the script.
I would consider it more
always
of a teaser trailer, but
oh, it is, but it's still a trailer.
yeah, I guess.
It's a tease, a little bit of a tease.
You're a tease.
They kind of tease here and there, but all we see from the trailer, in case you don't want to go click it, is barn in the night. We hear some like kind of creepy music-ish. We hear the pulses. We see what looks like the beam, but not really the beam,
Kinda
just the light from
flashing
it,
of it a
and
little
kind of
bit.
just it going everywhere. Tarp, wind blows. It's the back of the Ghostbusters vehicle, and then boom. Summer 2020.
You know what I
it's
was
all
really
pulsating.
surprised about, though?
What?
Like, they didn't take the opportunity that thing blows up, and even you hear just the faintest dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna be too picky, but
I'm
yeah,
not picky, but they didn't take the opportunity to do that.
That would have been cool. Like, whoosh, and right as it went to black, dun, 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 and then it fades. Like, and that would have been kind of
not
cool.
even like full out. It just like soft, really soft version of it. But whatever. Hey, that's their choice.
Here's the thing I want to bring up, because there's not a lot from the trailer to break down. We'll get to that when we get an actual one. But what I want to ask you today is because apparently this film is going to be taking place after Ghostbusters 1.
2.
So, number 1. So it's supposed to be...
It's not after... I thought it was after the series.
The new film... No, listen.
Okay.
The new film is set to be a sequel to the 1984 original. The sequel, which was Ghostbusters 2, came out in 1989. So it says both the original Ghostbusters and the 1989 follow-up Ghostbusters 2 were directed by Ivan Reitman, father of Jason Reitman. Jason Reitman's going to direct this one. Let's see. The franchise starred Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Harold Ramis as 3 blah, blah, blah professors. Yeah, we know. Is this just telling me about the new film will take place in the same universe as the 1984 and 1989 films. Dumping some nostalgic. While the trailer footage isn't likely to be seen in the actual movie, it does show a brief look at the Echo 1, the Ghostbusters vehicle, under a tarp. Blah, blah, blah. I just told you. It really doesn't tell me anything besides that. But we know from the movie, according to Birth Movies Death, that it is believed that the main characters will be kids around 12 to 13, while presently unconfirmed, sources suggest there will be as many as 4 teenage protagonists, 2 girls, 2 boys. Another report also mentions 2 kids, but the character descriptions bear a striking resemblance to traits held by Ramis and Aykroyd's characters in the original. So we don't know for sure how many characters there are going to be. Some say 4, 2 girls, 2 boys. Some say just 2 characters. However, there has been a little bit of backlash with this. And I say a little because pardon me, a little Leslie Jones, if you don't know who she is, SNL, she was in the 2016 Ghostbuster film with Melissa McCartney, Kristen Wiig, and Kate McKinnon. So somebody tweeted at Jason Reitman and said, "You're going to bring back Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, and Leslie Jones, right? Because that would be awesome." To that tweet, we have Leslie Jones replying, "So insulting, like F us. We don't count. It's like something Trump would do." Trump voice. "Gonna redo Ghostbusters, better with men, will be huge. Those women ain't Ghostbusters." Ugh, so annoying, such a dick move, and I don't give a F. I'm saying something. So Johnny, I want to ask you, is Leslie Jones overreacting, or is she right on the ball with her criticism?
I'm going to go with, as long as the 2 boys, 2 girls thing we read is true, she's overreacting. Even so, she's overreacting. There was still the female Ghostbusters. And guess what? I'm sorry, but it's just business when it comes down to, if your movie doesn't do well enough for the, like, yeah, it may have made its profit back and then some, which is looked over,
which is a good point, because the budget for the 2016 movie was $144 million, and it did make it make $229 million in the box office.
So wait, 229.
So it cost $144 million.
Yeah.
It made $229.
So maybe a little over $100 million.
Almost $100 million.
Almost. So almost $100 million.
It got to like maybe $80 million.
Yeah. So it's not. That's to a company as big as movie companies. That's okay.
We're talking $80 million on top of, because you think about this, like, on top of your budget. You want it, like, if you break even, that's bad.
Yeah,
if you're breaking even, your movie's not that good.
You're never going to try that again, like, ever.
Yeah.
But I mean, 80 mil is like, oh, okay, this is okay, but not enough for us to do it again. Not to mention, the tomato meter, which is what? That's the critics one, right?
So the tomato meter, which is critics,
74?
Yep, 74. They got a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, but they had a 51 with the fan rating.
3.1 out of 10, or 3.1 out of 5.
And that shows you, like, hey, yeah, the critics said it was okay, it was decent, but the fans didn't like it that much. Like, yeah, it was like a 50%, so it's 50-50 flop back and forth. But does that warrant you to make another movie of that one? No, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, to sound rude on any part of that, but you don't. It's just all business sense. You don't want to make one that you don't think is going to work again. It's like, okay, let's go off of the 1980s ones and see with people like that. That part, okay, you're experimenting now. Hey, we're going to bring in the new gen. And I'm kind of surprised. I'm wondering if there's a typo in there somewhere, or if that's really what's going to happen. If it's not going to be based off of after the 1989 one. Because I would find it weird that we're going to go like a sequel from the first one, not from the second.
The article is weird, though. Yeah. Because, like I mentioned, how the first paragraph, it says it's a sequel to the 1984 original. But then in the second one, it says it's going to be in the same universe as 1 and 2. I'm assuming it's just going to be Ghostbusters 3. Like, just think about this
it's
as Ghostbusters 3 in this universe is what it's going to be.
And guess what? How many different things, like, okay, this is, let's just take DC as an example. And yeah, they don't have necessarily... Well, I mean, it happened. It kind of happened in DC in the actual movie universe, but let's go DC cartoons. How many different universes are there in DC just because they make different cartoons for things?
True.
Exactly. And yeah, I get that. That's cartoons, but that happens. Your movie doesn't do that well. You're kind of an alternate universe.
Yeah, I mean...
And not to mention, plus, this would probably take... This 2016 one, I didn't see it myself. I meant to, didn't.
To me, I will be completely honest.
Yeah.
I had no
I'll say
inkling
at
to go.
first, I wasn't gonna go, especially after hearing such mixed reviews on it. I was gonna watch it like on Netflix or something or Redbox it, but I never got around to doing that.
Yeah,
because other movies came out and we went to go see those. But my thing was, I'm not like judging the movie itself, but it's like, okay, anyways, even if so, it's a good chance this one would take place after all those events, because my guess is it took place in 2016. It looked like it was modern day. Whereas this one's probably like in the 90s, the early 2000s.
Let's see.
I would think.
I believe you're right with the 2016 one taking place in modern day. The plot that I'm looking at doesn't give an exact day.
But what it seemed like, because they were bringing back, it looked like they were bringing back, whatchamacallit, the Ghostbusters.
And it says Patty joins the team, providing historical knowledge of New York City and a repurposed Hearst Echo One.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, the thing I'm trying to find out is movies that came out, because the thing that I think is most important to this conversation is the money part of it, because I read to you so the same person that had that original tweet replied to Leslie Jones, and he said, I didn't say that, I want you ladies back. And somebody replied to him saying this, but no one else does. People that complain about what movies should have in them or who should be represented maybe should go actually support those products. Because when you get what you want and it loses money, why do you think the studio would do it again? It's like you said, it's a business thing where
it just comes down to business.
And let's be completely honest. Like the 2016 Ghostbusters film, I am going to say this. It was already fighting to get out of a hole as soon as it started. Am I saying that is justifiably right? No, it is not. It should have been taken on its own merits of, will it be a good movie? Not what, like, I'm not saying everyone, but there was a subsection that was like, female Ghostbusters? F this, F that, not my Ghostbusters, and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And that shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be that way. However, if that affects the box office,
it just comes down to business at that point.
It's all about the Benjamins.
They're not
in the end.
whatever. I don't know who actually is the movie company for this. Is it Universal or is it, what is it?
This one was,
I don't know, honestly, off bat.
So let's see. It was distributed by Columbia.
Okay, so Columbia is not going to be looking at that. Oh, we need to represent girls. We need to represent this group. We need to represent. It's like, how much are we making off of this? That's all it comes down to them. For the most part, it's, yeah, they're going to try and diversify when they're making the movie if they can. But it all comes down to, how much money are we making off of this? We need to, at very minimum, make back what we've spent on the movie. 80 mil? How many movies really make 80 mil that are actually really good?
And that's the thing that I want to kind of look up right now. And I'm trying to get an article coming up with the exact, I think I might have hopefully found one. No, this one doesn't have exactly what I want. So 2016 was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm trying to find movies that came out that same weekend or that same year. And just for example, Secret Life of Pets. That this didn't come out the same week. It came out a week before the Ghostbusters, but I'm going to use this as an example still to give you something to talk about so I can find ones that came out that same weekend. Yes, it was animated, so that is a little different. The budget for Secret Life of Pets, $75 million. You want to know how much money that movie has made at the box office? $875.5 million. It made $800 million more than its budget. Of course, there's going to be a second one.
Exactly.
Like, that is what the businesses look at. And if your movie did not get money for whatever reason it may be, then odds are you're probably not going to get a sequel or another movie to that in the end.
I found a bunch of movies that came out 2016, and I can name them to you. I don't obviously I don't know if any of them came out the same weekend.
Yeah.
But Deadpool came out, Moana came out, Suicide Squad came out, Fantastic Beasts, Marvel Civil War, Doctor Strange, just to name the first 6 that are labeled here.
Yeah.
Zootopia came out. I mean, I'm just even naming the ones that I know of. Batman v Superman, Ricky's favorite movie, came out.
Jesus Christ. That was at the end of the year. I remember that.
Yeah, it was.
Let me see if I can just look up the exact date. So 20th July.
Rogue One, The Revenant, all these movies came out. Oh, sorry. Revenant was 2015. I don't know why that one thrown.
So I've got it here. I've got it right here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm going to look these up on the fly just to kind of see what we are looking at here. So one of the other movies that came out the same weekend as Ghostbusters, Sausage Party.
Oh, God.
And that movie alone, and this is another thing you got to look at with this one, because all these are not like exact examples.
Exactly.
But you look at it, it's animated, so it's probably going to be less money to make. And plus, it's Seth Rogen and James Franco, and they all do multiple voices. So the movie only costed $19 million to make. They made $140 million on that film. Like, that is a return investment that's like, okay, cool. That is a win for what we spent and what we made. Also, what came out during that time is The Infiltrator came out during that one. Precious Cargo, which was Bruce Willis movie that he was in. Let's see. What were some other big ones that came out that weekend? Most of these I'm not even recognizing. But it looks like maybe Sausage Party was the biggest one that came out that weekend. And yeah, man, unless this website is wrong, like that weekend was not, like, let's put it this way. That weekend was not stacked and you only made 80 million. Like, and I get people are going to say, well, guys, like, only made 80 million. Like, what are you talking about? 80 million is a lot, but it's like, is it really?
Is a lot to a film company? That's the question. And that, to me, I would think probably not, because, I mean, you're looking to make, I would say you're probably looking to at least make back double your movie.
Yes.
How much you spent on, you're probably looking to make back double. You only got, you said it was cost them
144.
144.
And they made 229.
And they made 229. You only got 80 back. You want to probably make, like I said, you probably want to make double. That's what I usually.
I get it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I get it's different, and I get people didn't know it was going to be bad at the time.
Oh,
but
no.
BVS.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They spent $250 on that movie.
Yeah.
Made $873 million. Now, the thing I'm going to say with that's different to here is people didn't know that BVS was going to be a hot flaming pile of dog poop. And they were excited to see Batman and Superman. So that had a hype.
Excited to see them duke it out.
That had a hype behind it, and that's the interesting thing for this conversation is the whole thing that it comes to with the Ghostbusters is really, this is the root of the problem. In marketing, an idea came out and there was enough of the population that did not like it, that did not like the idea that you presented. Because let's be honest, with this money, and I know you and I are in not the group that was like, I'm going to boycott this movie, not my Ghostbusters.
No, it wasn't our priority.
It did, exactly. It did enough. I'm not even going to say it that way. It didn't do enough to excite the casual like me and you to go see it.
Exactly.
And that is the root of a problem, where if that happens, you cannot, and this is bringing it back to Leslie Jones, you cannot be upset then that the studios don't bring you back. Because if you're not going to make the money, they're not going to use you, and they're not going to use your product. Like, the thing we have to realize with movies in this day and age is it all comes down to money. Just because you are given something movie studios are not going to anymore say, all right, we have 3 movies lined up for you. You get your own trilogy. Like, that's just not going to happen. Whereas nowadays, it's more so hey, you really have to make that money the first time so that you can go ahead and get that second film and not just think it's automatically going to be there for you.
Exactly. And the other part of her thing, there was an argument that not having women actors do it again, right? Or something like that.
I mean,
that was one of her comments, though?
Well, she said...
Yeah, reread it for me.
Because here's the reread.
Okay.
So insulting, like F us. We don't count. So right there, you can tell the kind of undertone of women don't count. That's what she's kind of saying, in my mind.
I would think so.
Then she says, it sounds like something Trump would say, and I'm not going to do the Trump voice this time.
Aww.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, do the Trump voice for them again.
Huge. Gonna redo Ghostbusters. Better with men. Will be huge. Those women ain't Ghostbusters. Like, and right there, you're saying the crux of your argument is that we hated it because you're women.
Yeah, let's be fair. There were that group out there, but that wasn't everyone.
Because then she says, "Oh, so annoying, such a dick move. I don't give an F. I'm saying something." Like, for me, it's like, it would be different if the movie made, with me, it would be different if the movie made more money. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I would say if the movie had made, like, double what they spent on it, so, like, they made double what they spent on it, which means they made the 144, then they made another 144 mil. Mm-hmm. Then it's like, okay, well, you guys did make double. Why wouldn't you reconsider, like, making one with the 4 of them again? Mm-hmm. But, like, if you only got 80 mil, that's not even doubling what the movie cost to make. So they're not going to consider you guys again. You can't be mad. It's not the fact that they're not going to recast women, because, like I said, and again, I wonder if she looked into this at all, or she just saw that first thing and said, "Oh, they're rebooting Ghostbusters. Well, fuck us." Mm-hmm. No, it says possibly it's either going to just be 2 characters, unspecified, or 2 boys, 2 girls. So there you go. I mean, don't be mad about it, and at least until you find out the details. That's the other part. Like, you're overreacting, you're jumping the gun. Wait to find out what's going to be happening in this movie. Mm-hmm. All we got so far was an old barn, some flashing, some creepy music, and the Echo One. Mm-hmm. We don't know. We don't know what's happening yet. It could be an all-girl cast again, but younger. It could be 2 boys, 2 girls. It could just be 2 boys. Mm-hmm. We don't know yet. But it's not the fact of the matter is, it's nothing to do with it being the 4 of them. To a degree, it's not the fact of it being the 4 women. It's the fact that you guys didn't make enough money off the movie. The company didn't make enough money off the movie. They're not going to do it again.
Well, and that's just it. Where last thing I'm gonna do, and this is kind of the crux of the argument here, is if I go list mode, it's gonna tell me 2019. I want 2018. Rotten Tomatoes. So here's a perfect example. Yeah. Holmes and Watson. Yeah. That came out this past year, at the end of the year, got a tomato meter of, guess what the tomato meter on this movie was?
58.
10%.
Oh, God.
It got a 3 out of 10 from the critics. Only 7 people out of 69 critics thought that it was fresh. The audience, 29%. No, I'm sorry, 28%. A 1.9 out of 5 was the average for it. Let's see how much money it made and how much money it cost to spend, because that's another thing. This is the first live action one, I think, that we're using. Yeah. And let's see here. There's the Wikipedia page. So Holmes and Watson, exactly. It cost $42 million to make. Mm-hmm. It made 38.7.
Yeah, they're never going to touch.
It did not break even.
They're not going to touch that again, ever.
And let's be honest, though, too. That one, if I'm not mistaken, came out the same weekend as Aquaman,
which was a bad idea
it was
too.
not going to win. It was not going to win.
Again, a bad idea. It's like you don't go. But I mean, let's be fair. Like you stated, you did look up who else came out that same weekend.
Yeah, like Sausage Party was the big one.
Yeah, that's
there
really
was
it.
no other big ones that came out.
Really, you had to compete with a Seth Rogen Sausage Party movie, which I think that was a fair chance to be honest.
Well, let's be honest. Like it was a fair chance, but let's be completely honest.
Yeah.
How many people might have been like, yeah, let's go see Sausage Party instead of Ghostbusters? Like, did it do enough in its trailer to? Then this is a question I'm bringing back. Not the extreme group, the group like me and you.
Yeah.
Did it do enough to bring a casual fan into the movie? I'm gonna say no.
No. Well, to be fair, you and I didn't go see either of those at that point.
I saw Sausage Party.
We didn't see Sausage Party.
I saw it with
you
Brandon.
saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went, but I still made the decision to go see Sausage Party over Ghostbusters.
But what was it? The decision? Hey, we're already gonna go see a movie. Let's go see Sausage Party. Or it's like, do I want to go see the movie? Would you have seen
There was
it?
a debate. There was a little bit of a debate.
Would you have seen it if you weren't necessarily keen on seeing a movie that day?
If Brandon would have said, "Hey, let's go see Ghostbusters instead," I would have been like, "Yeah, sure, fine."
Exactly. There you go.
But I mean, it was if we had the choice.
Yeah.
We chose Sausage Party. Like that was it. Hey, let's go see Sausage Party. Not, hey, what do you want to see? No, the choice was never there because it wasn't in the conversation in our minds. It didn't do enough. That's the word. Do enough is what I'm saying.
Exactly. And I'm agreeing with you on that. I'm just saying, like, I don't think Sausage Party was that big a movie that, like, Aquaman versus Holmes and Watson type thing. Like, yeah, people were walking out of home. I'll be fair. I've read that people were walking out of Holmes and Watson within the first 20 to 40 minutes.
So it was like a Delta farce?
Sure. I don't know.
Do you remember what Delta farce was?
I don't.
That was Bill Engvall and Larry the Cable Guy, where they were, what's the premise of that movie exactly? So
I know it like military or something, wasn't it?
It was. So they get like dropped in Mexico.
Yeah.
And what's so funny about Delta farce? So this movie came out, if you're unfamiliar with it, in May of 2007.
Mm-hmm.
So we're juniors in high school at this time. Would we have been? This would have been end of junior year. End of junior year going almost into senior year. The plot of this movie, I'll just read the beginning of it. Larry, Bill, and Everett played by DJ Qualls from The New Guy, the skinny guy and main character from The New Guy, are three friends who each have their own shares of misfortune. Larry was a waiter who lost his job attempting to publicly propose to his girlfriend. Turned out to be cheating on him while on the job, causing him to insult a customer. Bill is living off a slip and fall lawsuit settlement and is almost constantly berated by his wife over their living conditions. And Everett is a inept security guard who was fired after only 4 days as a police officer after crashing his car into a nail salon. The three are members of the state military reserves, although their duties in the reserve mostly consist of drinking, partying at the reserve center once a month. Manpower shortage from the Iraq War. They basically get dumped in, where is it? Yeah, a thunderstorm over Mexico. They get dumped in Mexico, and it's their adventure through that. Dave and I made it 20 minutes. We made it to where they got dumped in Mexico, looked at each other and was like, yeah, let's just leave. You want to know the kicker of this? We didn't even pay for the movie. We saw a different movie. I think we saw Spider-Man that came out that same weekend. Saw that Delta Farce was starting at the same time, slipped into it, and we always make the joke now that Delta Farce wasn't even worth free. It wasn't worth free, Johnny.
Yeah.
Like, we sat there and we're like, yeah, let's just get up and leave.
So you went and saw Spider-Man, you went to go see Delta Farce because you were there.
Well, we just saw it. Like, we didn't plan to double dip.
Yeah.
But we just saw it, and I was like, hey, these previews looked funny. You want to go see it? And Dave's like, sure, I got nothing else to do. I mean, we're freaking high school kids. What else do we have to do?
Yeah, exactly.
But basically, yeah, that was it. It was not worth free. So any final thoughts on this before we wrap it up?
No, it's just like just the thought of don't shoot the gun on things. Make sure you know what's going to happen in it. And just remember, it's business. It's not personal.
And I didn't mean to cut you off there. Wow, I still have the Spider-Man trailer playing.
Do you?
Throughout this entire segment. So my final thought is I get why Leslie Jones is mad.
I get it.
I would also be upset if I was in a movie and the film studio was not picking me up for a second movie. Like, I would be upset too, especially if I thought it was a good movie on my merit and I thought it deserved a second one, but I also, at the same time, cannot justify where she is pointing the gun. Point the gun at the studio for not making the movie, although it made money. That's where you should be pointing. Don't point it at this outrage. Like, don't point it at this outrage because, like, basically and this is me reading into her tweet. If you saw something else, that's perfectly fine. But how I saw it is her pointing the finger because men didn't like our movie because we're women. And then what totally turns me off about it is that I get it. We hate him. He's not a good president. He's a terrible person most of the time. He's shutting down our government and he's ruining lives.
We're on day 20-something, almost 30.
But
just to state, I get that.
The point is, he's not an ideal person.
Exactly. I'm agreeing with you.
I feel like at this point, if you throw Trump into your argument that has nothing to do with him, in my mind, you're discrediting your argument.
I agree.
You're trying to make it more of a joke than a serious point. In my mind, that is what I think. I don't think she even needed to mention the Trump thing in.
That chunk of it did not even need to be in there. There was no point.
Yeah, all she had to do was, it felt like she was making a point. Oh, wait, this will be a funny joke to take a rip at Trump, and then back to a serious point.
Yeah.
Like, just stay on point. You didn't have to make the joke. I get you're a comedian,
I don't even think she was making it funny.
I
think she was just like, to me, it didn't even come off as her making it funny. It was all complete rant. It's like you just kind of
her making fun of Trump, doing like the sarcastic joke of Trump to try to make it funny.
Yeah, but to me, it's just like it didn't come off as funny. It just came dove into complaining about Trump and then back onto your point. It's like there's this section that didn't need to be in there because it didn't have anything to do with your point.
Well, this is where I turn on to you guys. Let us know what you guys think if you have not already. This is one of those topics that I love, where we did the same thing with the Henry Cavill argument. Well, not argument. His whole thing were with the, not necessarily Me Too, but him just talking about how it's different for a single actor to approach girls now because of what's going on. I really like the comments we got in that one. Some nice conversation going back and forth, no one kind of yelling at each other. Let's try to have the same thing here. Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. And Johnny, let's move on into our last segment. And I had to re-record the beginning because I said J-Man, which I'm not ashamed that I call you that. But the first thing that I thought of was, do I want to call you J-Man for the people now coming in on YouTube? They don't know your name. I'm assuming that they can read. They've got the little
I think so, but I can't read, so
but like, who cares? Like sometimes reading articles, I screw up. In this podcast, I said instead of presently, I said presently. So
presently.
Obviously, I cannot read as well. But
joke's on you. I can't read.
Before we get into it, just reminds me of Blue Streak, and he called me dumb and ugly, and he said I couldn't read good. Little Dave Chappelle line for you there. But before we get into some Game of Thrones action to end out the podcast, got to go ahead and say, please, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on podcast services around the world, I know you guys have Apple accounts, even if you're an Android person. I know you have an Apple account, or you might not use it, but you have it somewhere. Please go over to iTunes and Apple Podcasts and rate and review the Rick and Johnny podcast. I hope we're giving you that 5-star treatment that we aim for each and every week. But make sure to go over there and let us know how we really did. It really means the world to us. But Johnny, talking a little Game of Thrones here on the podcast, and I think it's been, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Since we talked a little Game of Thrones here on the podcast. I'm going to have up there. I actually think it is 3 weeks because last week we didn't, and then the week before that was our full almost Marvel podcast. But we've already talked about getting ready for season 8 of Game of Thrones. We've already talked about Daenerys and kind of like what does she have to lose, because every single season she loses something or something happens to her. So what we're talking about today is we get the official tease, Crypts of Winterfell. You sent it to me. You were so hyped for it. I'm like, Johnny, I already seen it. I can't wait for it. Oh, my God. But we got to talk about it, Johnny.
I think we do a little bit.
And the first thing I want to ask you, because the first thing I did ask you was, where do we start with this, Johnny? Like, there's not enough to go into anything, but there's enough to speculate about some things. And the part where I am going to start with you has to do with what many people are asking about this trailer. Where is Bran Stark? So you tell me, what are you thinking? Why is Bran Stark not here? Because if you haven't seen it, it's down below. But if you'd rather have me describe it to you because you're an audio listener, basically it starts out, you see Jon Snow walking through the crypts of Winterfell. He walks by some old statues of his mom, his dad, well, his mom, quotations, his dad, quotations, and then he kind of hears something behind him. He goes forward, and then it's Sansa and Arya all standing in front of what would be their statues in the crypts of Winterfell. Then at the end, the Winds of Winter comes in, blows out the torch that Jon is holding, and then they all stand there like, okay, we are ready to fight the Night King and the White Walkers that are coming in. So, Johnny, with that being said, why is Bran not there? Why is it only Jon, Sansa, and Arya?
Because no one wants to push the wheelchair. No. Sorry, that's kind of
because if we had him, then Sam's got to be there, and Sam totally kills the mood.
He does. Sam is just gross. Come on.
Sam's got to push the wheelchair. His comedy totally ruins the mood that we're going for.
Exactly. No, I think this is more. So as you and I know, and probably a lot of them know, they record, what was it, 5 extra hours each episode.
Just to throw people off.
Just to throw people off. So that people who are don't actually know.
The paparazzi
don't actually know what's going on there.
I like how you just seamlessly went into that accent.
I did that, and then I just I'm going to keep going with it to the end of the sentence. But I think what they're doing, this is all just symbolism. None of it's actually really going to happen.
The symbology behind it.
The symbology about it. You want me to go back in the accent, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I bring it from Boondock Saints, where one of the cops in that movie goes, so, what's the symbology here? And then William Dafoe's character goes, the symbolism. I believe the word you were looking for is symbolism. What is the symbolism? So that's why I say symbology. But go ahead with what you were saying.
This is all just symbolisms of what is actually going.
Symbolisms to what exactly? Like, don't just say of what. Give me like what you're thinking with this. Like how they're gonna die. Is that what you're thinking?
I think it almost to me comes down to you need to face the Night King, because like they turn around, draw their swords.
You're basically facing death.
Yeah, you're facing death.
You're staring
right now.
death in the face.
Yeah, well, because they see their death statues. They hear something behind them. The torch goes out and everything's frosting over, and the two of them draw their swords. Like it's either sort of you're facing death. It's either you got to fight death, or you're gonna end up like this. And the other one, like you pointed out too, which is an interesting one, is, and I'll get to another point about that of why it does but doesn't matter. You see Sansa, you see Arya statues, they look like them in the actual thing. Jon's looks kind of old, the beard looks thicker. But again, like you look at Ned's statue, it looks not really anything like him. Like it has the hair, has the body feature. The face doesn't look a lot like him, and it's just really kind of almost done poorly. And Arya, I remember her saying that they got it all wrong. It doesn't look like Dad. So, I mean, that could just mean nothing.
I'm going to throw this out there.
Yes.
And this just popped into my head. What if this is them, if we're going on the whole symbolism thing?
Yeah.
What if this was them making that comparison? Okay, his statue in this is the same as Ned, where it doesn't look like him.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that you also look at is it looks older.
Yeah.
What if this is... So what if it's this? Each person is looking into the mirror and looking into Death's eyes. What if this is saying that Sansa and Arya are not confident that they're going to win this battle, so that's why they see younger versions of themselves.
Like they're going to die here.
Like they're going to die. Like the realistic option, we could die here and we're not confident.
Yeah.
Where this may be showing the confidence of Jon Snow that we are going to get through this and not preserve, but we're going to push on through this. The word is escaping me at the moment. But also, what if they did that statue thing to make it look similar to Ned? Where it's like, if you're going to live through this, you're going to grow up into, I'm going to say, your father's footsteps. Because...
Father.
And that's why, going back to an article that I saw on Screen Rant where they said, is Jon Snow's parentage not going to matter in season 8? And I know you said, like, well, then why did you tell us? Like, of course it's got to matter.
Like, why did we make such a big fucking deal about it?
Here's what I'm going to say. Didn't read the article, so I don't know if this is said in the article. But what I think on that point is, what if it becomes like it doesn't matter because Jon Snow, in the end, will relate to Ned? Will be like, you know what? Like, yeah, like, what? Let's say when he finds out that these are my parents, it might send him through a thought process. But what if he comes to the realization where it's like, hey, you know what? I am a Stark. Like, that is who I am. That was what I was raised to be. Like, I know I was the bastard child, and that was hard, but, like, in the end, I am a Stark. And what if he aligns himself with Ned in the end, and that's why we're seeing... This is kind of them teasing that.
Could be.
Because the statues, don't look like each other. Kind of like how Ned's didn't look like him.
Could be. My guess is just, like... Mostly, like, I'm just kind of leaning towards, hey, it's just I like yours where it's like, well, they're seeing, like, their confidence of how, if they're going to make it through this. Yeah. Which I'm kind of surprised with Arya being so young, but maybe she like, with this type of imminent threat, this is not her.
She's never faced something like this
before.
and
this is not her, like, specialty. Yeah, she may face the many-faced God, but nothing like this.
And that's...
And she's more of like an assassin type fighter anyways.
Well, and it shows this too.
Yeah.
Of, like, I would say confidence levels out of the three. I would say Jon has the most confidence overall. Arya has the second most confidence overall.
And Sansa
literally has no confidence.
Yeah.
Well, she has a little bit now, but, like, has never really had confidence.
She was in very confident.
But what this is showing...
For a long time. I wouldn't say ever. Like, when she was a kid, she seemed very snobby.
Yeah, but that was,
confident.
like, kind of like... That was more up like until, rich kid uppity is what I saw that as. But up then, until like, she, like, had to go through some real hard times.
By, the second, like, she got pushed aside by Joffrey for someone else,
then going through everything... And then going everything with Ramsay?
Yeah, exactly. That I get, like,
Tell me you love me, Reek. Tell me you love me.
Yes, sir.
Tell me you love me, Reek. Oh, God. You just know how to just pierce through and just, like, you do the creepy voice very well. Yeah, you do the creepy voice very well. But even going through that, like, that is when, like, right after Ramsay...
Thank you for bringing my wife back to me.
...is when she, like, got any sort of confidence in my mind.
After Ramsay was killed.
Yeah, and I mean...
Was where her confidence started to build back up.
The thing that this could also be showing, if we're going off of that with Arya, is kind of the opposite of, like, throughout this entire series, she has been confident, but she still has that like sense of doubt within her, or if she's facing something that is so strong, she has some sort of doubt that kind of shows this. Where John, I feel like this could be symbolism for.
I feel like
he's always like, maybe not at the very beginning, but for the longest time now has been the most confident, will face any threat in his way, and is going to believe he is going to come out on the other end.
I feel like it all all started to where it's the opposite in confidence now. Like John's was way down here. He was the bastard. He was nothing. And through everything he's done, he's gained his confidence to where he is now.
Because
Arya was kind of in the middle.
Blind confidence.
Well,
though.
she was in the middle because she liked things that girls weren't supposed to like.
Yes.
She did things girls weren't supposed to do. And Ned supported it on the side to where he got her a sword fighter. They called it dancing lessons.
Yeah.
And blah, blah, blah. And as she went through, she gained her confidence to where she is, like, right below John.
I loved her so. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Oh, her
fencing teacher.
Yeah, fencing teacher.
He was one of my favorite characters.
And she's had multiple people teach her how to fight since then, even up till like she became I would say almost an apostle of the many-faced God. That's what it is, the many-faced God, not the no-face.
That
and
was
Sansa,
Syrio Forel.
Yeah,
I remember that. I probably said his first name wrong, but
Probably.
I looked it up.
But then the final one was Sansa. She, like you said, it was an uppity, rich girl type one, but she still had the most confidence. And now she's kind of below everyone because of everything that's happened to her.
Because of the shit she went
through. And I
through.
get it, and I get that. I understand why it would be so low. It's just that I'm just saying it kind of swapped levels. But back to
wasn't she?
her confidence
with Ramsay though.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did he rape her?
Yeah,
technically
he did.
Okay.
I mean, in that type of era and everything, it was his wife, so he can do what he wants with her.
But I'm just saying, like, because didn't we have a scene where she was crying during it?
Yeah.
Like he kind of forced himself on her.
Yeah, he did.
I'm just refreshing my memory a little bit.
Yeah, no, he did.
Okay. Like going through that, it's like, holy crap.
He did.
And you had to go through that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying where they're.
Yeah.
She went through.
I was just.
Her confidence level went from here and started taking a nosedive until she finally, Ramsay's dead. She got to become the Lady of Winterfell, and it kind of
shot up.
I wouldn't say it shot up, but it started going back up.
For her though, like
it
where
was
it was
a
a shoot up, but it wasn't like anywhere near what we've seen.
But what I was gonna say, we never answered the question. Where do I think Bran is?
We just went off into Jon Snow.
Went off into way everything else.
That's usually what this does.
Here's one that to think about. Bran's not there because Bran's already dead. He's the three-eyed raven. He is no longer Bran.
He kind of the same thing I'm thinking about.
He doesn't consider himself Bran anymore.
He's not.
He's
like,
oh,
anymore.
welcome back, Stark. You're now the heir of this thing. I don't want it.
Yeah,
I'm not taking it because I'm
not a Stark anymore.
He doesn't.
Three-eyed raven.
Yeah. So that's where I think why part of the reason Bran's not there anymore, because to him it doesn't matter. I'm not a Stark. I am now the three-eyed raven.
I mean, that's where I would go with is that. He's not a Stark.
Yeah.
He is, and I don't mean to reiterate what you're saying, but yeah, he's the three-eyed raven. I know that there's other people that have said, like, oh, well, he's not there because he's already there. Like, he goes into vision mode and can already see it.
That too, but I mean, again, this is all also just, to me, it's all symbology, as we call it.
Yeah, the symbology of everything, but I mean,
but no, yeah, it's all the symbolism of many things. Because walking through the crypts, it's about death, and they see
wheeling through the crypts just doesn't have the same, doesn't hit you quite the same as walking.
Exactly,
and I'm joking. By
don't
the
got
way.
them wheels down in them crypts over there.
Oh, look at you trying to get some of the rhymes on that. But I mean, yeah, I just think that
I don't know what I'm doing with that.
There's a part of it that is. Yeah, these three are the more like dramatic, like I'm gonna fight you head on characters. Where Bran's gonna be more of like the best way we had it explained was by Charlie, who's a Emergency Awesome, great channel. He said that like Bran is gonna be more of like this epic mind wizard battle is how he said it.
That'd be
with
awesome.
the Night King. So that's why I don't think Bran is down there, but I will ask you this to end it. With this teaser, How many of these 3 die? How many of these 3 die at the end of season 8 because of this teaser?
I'm honestly completely unsure about Sansa and Arya, but I think John's going to make it through.
John's going to the throne. That's what I think.
I think John's going to the throne. I'm debatable which one is going to, like, if it's Sansa or Arya, I think one of them's going to die.
I think both of them die.
You think both?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think, like, he's going to give Arya the Warden of the North or something?
Maybe.
Take after Dad. You can finally be who you want to be.
If anybody dies...
Or Wardeness.
If I had to pick one of them, Arya dies.
You think Arya?
Yeah, I do.
Why do you think that?
Because I feel like she's going to be that one where it's like, out of the 2, Sansa and Arya, she's going to be the one to die on the battlefield. Or it's going to be a miscalculation on her part. Well, because she's been very calculated in her moves, kind of like an assassin. It'll be a miscalculation, and then a White Walker will kill her.
I almost want to say Sansa, because I feel like they're going to maybe let Arya... I would like that, because then it kind of pulls into that Ned thing, but I feel like Sansa is going to be the one. If any of them ends as the Queen or King of Winterfell, it's Sansa. The only reason I was saying that, though, is because it might bring a nice tie-in later on with her finishing her list. Cersei's still on her list.
Or think about this. Cersei and Arya kill each other. They both die together.
How do you think Cersei's going to kill Arya?
What if it's kind of one of those things where... Because how many times have we seen you think you've got Cersei and she gets you first?
True.
Well, this could be something where this time the person actually got Cersei, but Cersei still got her.
What if she gets Cersei and the Mountain gets her?
Maybe.
Because the Mountain's still a thing, too.
Here's what I'm going to throw out, and this is why I originally said both of them. Jon lives. Daenerys lives. Daenerys gets the Iron Throne. Jon, because Sansa and Arya are dead, and because of what I've already said, where they're making the statue kind of look resembling a lot of... Well, not just that. There's a lot of things in common with Ned's statue and Ned. What if it becomes, hey, I know I'm a Targaryen, you're a Targaryen, both of us have claim to the Iron Throne. What if we end this? We end this stupid bickering between the North and the South. What if we can do it to where, because they already have a romance together, what if Daenerys and Jon are the keys to uniting the land? Uniting the, 5 or 7, is it? I think I'm taking things from different. Uniting the 7. No, I think I'm taking Aquaman. I think it's only 5. I don't know. Correct me down below. I think Unite the 7 is from Aquaman, and it's the 7 kingdoms. But basically, uniting everybody.
It would be if, 2 of those kingdoms weren't dead.
Yeah.
Or one of them.
Uniting those kingdoms, and in the end, we see Daenerys on the Iron Throne. Jon seeing, and this is why the parentage might not count, or might not matter, of, yes, I know I'm technically Targaryen blood, but I relate more to Stark. I am going to stay up here and be the Warden of the North.
Or it might not matter because he's proven himself to be, and it's the people that want him.
What if it's just he gets the Iron Throne and he's the king of everything?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. What if instead of this isn't just Jon because of his parentage. This is Jon because he's earned it. They've already made him King of the North, which he didn't want the title, but he's doing it. He doesn't do it for glory or anything. He does it for the people.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Could you see Jon, if he had the choice, passing the Iron Throne to Daenerys and not wanting it? Not wanting it and saying, you know what, you take it, I'll be Warden of the North.
I could see him doing that,
but just like his character and who he is.
I could see him doing that because he does everything for the people. Like, he doesn't care about titles and all that shit because he never had it. He does everything for the people, and they made him their leader. Yeah, I said that right. I thought I said it wrong. So I would feel like if the people wanted Jon as their leader, and he like did that. It was through all the 5 or 7 or whatever number kingdoms there are. Huh?
Just the
kingdoms. Whatever kingdoms there are, because I don't know who's even left anyways at the moment. I have to go recap.
Also, I have to tell you, last Game of Thrones discussion we had where we were talking about Daenerys, you were 110% correct. When you were talking about Iron Isles, Uncle Iron Isles,
Uncle,
you were right, because it was on TV about a week after we did that, and it was the scene with the White Walker where they bring it to Cersei and show it, and I completely forgot about this. You remembered it. He gets up and says, fuck this, I'm going to an island where that thing can't touch me.
Yeah.
Little does he know they'll just freeze the water and walk right over.
Yeah.
But I was like, holy shit, Johnny was right. I was wrong. He did say, fuck this shit. I'm getting out of here. And I'm taking my people back.
But I think that was also the diversion where he's supposed to go get the Golden Company elephants and all that shit.
So we don't know if he really did go back.
Oh, that was, it looked like it was pretty serious as like, because that was his plan. It's like, if these things fucking start taking over, I'm on an island. I don't have to fucking worry about this.
Yeah.
That's all.
And it looked like he was, I was like, oh man, Johnny was right. I totally forgot that he went ahead and
basically said, fuck this.
Any final things that you think we did not touch with this, or anything with Game of Thrones Season 8 that you're like, hey, I want to mention this and we didn't talk about it?
I got one for you.
Okay.
We're all gonna need therapy after this April. Got Game of Thrones Season 8 and Endgame.
When does, let's see, GOT Season 8, when's the last episode?
Oh, last episode? I don't know. That's only 6 episodes, so basically if you get a calendar up.
So it's going to be, the last episode's going to be May 19th.
May 19th.
So Avengers Endgame, do we even know an exact date for that?
April 20-something.
Is that the 26th?
Yep.
April 26th. So April 26th will be right before the 3rd episode.
I will be scheduling my therapy session for the 27th.
So right before the 3rd episode is when we'll have Avengers Endgame, and then after that weekend it'll be the last 3 episodes of Game of Thrones. Wow, only 6 episodes. This season's gonna fly right by. I know, but it's gonna fly right by.
It is.
You do know that, right?
Oh, I do.
Like this season is just going to fly and breeze by because we'll have so little itty bitty
such a small seasons.
Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I'm excited about this. Nervous but excited.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think, obviously down below in that comment section. Make sure to also comment about anything that we talked about in this podcast. Also, thank you guys for checking us out, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on podcast services around the world. Make sure to hit us up on Patreon, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts to review us. Twitter, the website, mostvaluablepodcast.com. Twitter is at mostvaluablepod. You can also hit up our store at Most Valuable Podcast. We got a ton of stuff for you guys. We're here every single day for you guys. Let us know what you guys think. We love being here. But for Johnny, Ricky Widmer, as always, have a good day, everybody.